rolling. Good morning, everyone. It is now, wait, what? Friday, January 2nd, 2026. And I hope everyone is better. I know I myself am feeling quite better right now. Been a long week of this gosh darn dang crud thing that wasn't terrible. It wasn't like the flu or anything, but sometimes it's even worse when it's not. It's the mild annoyances of, like, the sinuses being drainy, and it just fogs up the head. And for a guy like me, that's never it's not great at all. Doing a quick little edit over here on the stream part, and the Chewini is losing his mind. I don't, hopefully, and I'm pretty sure you can't hear him, which is a very fortunate thing for you, because he is probably one of the smartest little dogs that I've had the, we'll call it, privilege to have around. But he's also the most annoying little turd because he is so smart that he has a tendency to just drive me nuts with his barky whine thing. It's crazy. He's not a yapper per se, but he's a barky little whiny thing that does it for no reason. Now, right now, I think there's a little bit of, oh, it's raining. If it's raining or it's windy, he has to let me know that it hurts his feelings down to his very soul and core, and it sucks. But anyway, he's a good pup, Zuma the Chowini, but man, is he annoying. And he's the only creature on the planet that does not get along with Jack the Wonder Dog. It's just silly, totally silly. Anyway, again, we got a new year going. Again, the sinuses are finally starting to work itself out. Thank you to the Equate version of NyQuil, right? The cherry flavored that is horrid. It works every time. Ever since I was a kid, I have leaned on that stuff every time I get sickly, because it's like, uh, I guess it was in probably 86. I wound up and I had myself a case of first degree pneumonia, the one where it actually fills up the lung and it's really sucky. You lose all your energy, and the best you can do is lay around and try not to die, right? Well, after a few days at home, and because we didn't know what was wrong, and we didn't always just run to the doctor back then. But when we finally did go to the doctor, found out the diagnosis, I had pneumonia and actually had to get put into the hospital for a week. Now, the hospital stay, where was I at? I was in Baptist, maybe down in Little Rock. And it was funny because there was a lot of great things that came with that. We'll get to those in a second. But one of the big things is they had the IV in to keep me hydrated, but I still wasn't getting better. Because what was happening was, when they gave me the medicine stuff, which one of those things was the regimen of the NyQuil that tasted horrid. Well, the nurses, seeing my face as I ingested that crappy stuff, would, like, let me take a drink of water to, like, wash it down and kind of flush out the flavor and the taste that is horrid. Anyway, but it was diluting it too much. Then I had this one nurse, and she was awesome. She gave me the stuff, and then when I went for the water, she went, no, 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 baby, no, baby, baby. That's the problem here. They're watering it down. And she was right. After I took that dose and suffered through the attack on my taste buds, uh, the next morning I was exponentially better, and I've sworn by the stuff ever since. Whether it's the name brand or the generic, whatever and all ever that's in that nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, achy head, stuffy, so you can feel better medicine works, as well as their marketing. As you see, I just rolled that off. But anyway, it helped a lot. Got this weird, I think I slept on my shoulder wrong yesterday. But it is what it is. So again, how is the new year treating you? Again, I hope you took my advice about the goal thing with resolutions to work out a system instead, because that's kind of a big deal. Goals will let you down. They really will, because if you don't think about the steps in the process and implement a system, they fall to the wayside almost every single time. Because again, it's like if all you're looking at is the at the end of the road there, the destination, when it comes to the journey, man, it can get sidetracked real quick. But if you're planning the journey by way of steps and systems, or systems in your steps, then it works out. And that's what I'm doing, actually, because yesterday was still just it's like it was like I was on the cusp of being normal again, but I wasn't, because I couldn't fully focus. Like today, the shoulder thing, I can see that's going to be a little bit of a chore, but my system in place again with what, 3 pillars, that so I can focus in, because like the 3 pillars again are one product, one service, and one project. And so I was able to go back to my anchor project that takes the least amount of like mental effort, if you will, and that would be the Toys or Totems book. Because again, that book, it got written and released in 2025, but I've been writing it for, I mean, realistically, since I really dove into using collectible toys as a subject matter for going on 17 years now. So it's like it's really second nature, and it's a good book. And so anyway, putting the focus back in there and building out the blog presence again. And before, once upon a time ago, it used to be jimstoybox.com, and I did the reviews, and it was fun. But I'm not doing that anymore. Don't much care for reviews at this stage in life. Like what you like. If something is a total piece of crap, I will point it out just in case. But I do my best to. I don't buy stuff because why? I can make stuff. Um, yeah, but now dig this. This is cool because in posting, and I've got it scheduled. And here's a little inside baseball. When you're doing online things, most all platforms have the ability to schedule stuff out. So if you can stack up stuff, which you can, because if you've got like an hour to kind of kick back, chill out, de-stress, deflate, whatever, you can work on your advertising, marketing, and promotion campaigns. That's one of the main tenet of like the 3 keys to 30 days worth of content workbook that I have out there. Um, because again, you can sit there and brainstorm and brain dump and get everything lined out and scheduled. So in this modern world of living in the box, and we want to connect with as many people as possible for whatever particular motivations you have, scheduling is awesome because in doing that, it really frees you up, because you got to keep a presence in this world if this is a thing that you're using as a tool, which is what I do. The coffee talk stuff is literally just 99% part fun and 1% getting my chops back up to do things on camera or on the microphone and to promote the things on my 3 pillars, right? And I like coffee. I like coffee with people like you, and we have fun. But yeah, so today I think I've got it scheduled for 8:45 because I tell you another secret. See, again, I'm all about the prep stuff, but yesterday, again, my brain was just not cooperating with my actions. So it was a struggle and a fight through a lot to get where I wanted things done, but I got a few done. And that's the main thing, too, to always remember. No matter what your end goal destination is on something, when you put your system in place, and okay, you want to have a consistent blog presence, using that as an example. Well, if you just write down a couple ideas and get them starting to flush out, just mapping that out alone is a great action and a system. Then, once you've got things mapped out, then you can go back in and start fine tuning details and getting it flushed out, getting it flushed out, getting it flushed out. And that's the win, right? So even if it doesn't go full to plan like you wanted for that day, you still made a lot of progress because you made progress. And it doesn't matter if it's a small step or a big step, it's still progress. Never forget that. And it does compound up. And that is remarkably important nowadays because any platform that you're on, any of them, doesn't matter. Whichever one you're honed in on, you want to make sure that you've got something consistently going out. Now, the argument could be when it comes to, post every day. You don't necessarily need to do that, but it doesn't really hurt you either. Don't kill yourself in the process, but do the things that if you do something for like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, or just one day a week that you're committed to, or even one time a month that you're committed to, long as you're committed to it and you're working on it and you're getting it and you're getting your consistency up, you're going to see a compound effect in your efforts, and the algorithm is going to start to sweeten up to you because the more consistent you are in putting things up, the more they like that. And we've covered that 1,000,001 times now, but we'll do it 1,000,001 plus one, in that they like when people are creating, and you don't even have to be a creator, even though you are if you're online, especially on the socials, right? But when you're putting things out consistently and you're stacking things up, so people, when they discover you, there's a very high probability that they're going to want to see more of your stuff if they liked you in the first place. If they didn't like you, it won't matter. Work on that. Okay, that's what I do every day. Here, 99% and 1% to keep growing and getting better. But I say all that though, because once you do that, number one, you'll feel better because you're actually getting something done and accomplished. And that feels good every single day, even on the lowest days. If you can get that one thing off the list, just a tiny step, do it because it'll compound and it'll be good for you. Yesterday, as I was putting together the list of all the things that I put together a list of brain droppings, if you are, well, actually, what am I looking for? Topics, right, that I want to hit for the entire month of January, for January 2nd all the way through the 31st, that they're there. So now I can go back in and I can start the brain drop on and the brain dumps on what I want to say more fuller. More fuller. What a terrible way to say that. More fuller. And then once I do that, and the best thing is I can have the robot can come back in and do the basic editing steps as far as grammar, spell check, things like that. And it's a great tool. It just is. You still have to do the work though. Don't kid yourself. Okay, a lot of people will do that. I saw this one fellow, I forgot his name, is Wes something. But anyway, as a YouTuber, marketing guy, and his big thing is helping. He's helped people build websites with real conversions and things like that. Really, really, really sharp fella. Anyway, one of the things he mapped out was like a 10-80-10 system, and I like it a lot. If you take 10% of your energy towards your project, right, to really brain dump and make it all happen. And I've been saying this forever, but now that 80% in the middle is the mundane stuff that you yourself can do, but it would take you a significantly longer amount of time to just get it done, you know. So use the tools that are out there and the resources to help you with that. And because if you don't, I assure you, if you are in the competitive mindset or you do have competition that you have to move a little quicker with, or you just want to save time, which is the only commodity you really have, use the damn tool, okay? Because using that tool, you're not cheating, okay? You're using a tool. And if you are of the mindset that using certain tools to make things easier, you might as well go ahead and buy an axe if you ever need to do anything with a tree versus a chainsaw. I mean, it really is like that. It's about saving yourself time and bettering your life. And then the last 10, though, is to put in that extra finishing, final touches, cherry on top stuff to make sure that everything is gelled right. But it's funny because I look back for the 10 years that I was at TKO8 Television, with the primary function that I did was getting, gathering and writing the news. So then it could be read for the 6 o'clock newscast. And I streamlined that process to the point, here's a little secret for you if you were a long time watcher back then. Before, when I first got there in 2009, they were literally running all the way up to the post of like recording 30 minutes before it went to air. Like there was like no real margin of error at all, which was so stupid, because they were running to the for no good reason, because every one of those broadcasts were pre-recorded, even 30 minutes before. And so when I got there, Bob Richards was the one who was putting everything together for Dennis, right? And Bob would kind of work on it all day long, along with other stuff that he was doing. And then it like, well, okay, I'll say maybe there was a 5-minute flux in there, like at say 5:25, Dennis would show up to actually sit down and record. And it was all done linear, real time. And if there was a gaffe, then Bob had to move on the spot to be able to back up, start over, and go. And that was way too stupid and frustrating and stressful. So whenever I took over the full helm of all of those duties, I streamlined the process to where I got it done in the mornings. Yeah. So that 6 o'clock news broadcast, if you happen to be watching it, I had actually already, I'd get to the station about, 8 o'clock, 8:30, and I would bang out the day's newscast within the first hour or so. I had my system put together, so instead of dragging it out all day long, I just pulled it down. The only thing that was my hiccup is I couldn't get like the closing market reports until after 3 when the markets closed. So I would have to wait on that element. But in that process of having the script ready by 8, well, I would have the script done every day by 9:30 at the latest. That's normally when Dennis would roll in, come in. I'd sit him down and I record the segments. I got rid of that linear recording crap, and I would just record the segments, put them in the timeline after the fact, and then at 3 o'clock when I got the market report, 3:30 ish, get that, and then the every other weekly, whenever we got like the farm futures stuff and the reports from the cattle markets and all that. Then I would put them in there, and then I could just render the whole thing down, put it in the machine, schedule it out, and it was ready to roll. And the other funny thing is even, well, no, I finally did. It was on tape, literal super beta tape, the standard broadcast stuff for the longest time, but then I turned it into, we're going to DVD. Now, of course, that was a little bit more wasteful because you couldn't reuse the DVD like you could the tape. But I didn't care because it was faster, it looked better, and it just worked. But it was a system, and that's the reason I'm telling you the story right now. Once you get your system in place, then you're going to find ways to improve your system if you're paying attention to what you're doing. And that's how, for 10 years, I was able to do the job of like 5 people to then be able to crunch it down to where I could get it to one person doing it and it not taking all damn day. And if there were hiccups, there was so much wiggle room, I could fix it. Even whenever it was me who would have to fill in and sit on camera and do the news, it was manageable. It was. It required a little bit more because I'd set up in the cave, as we called it, the main production room, and get everything ready to go, hit the button, then I'd have to go out and around and go into what was the newsroom. So I cut a lot of the dead air stuff out, but it was, again, no big deal whatsoever. And why I'm, looking back at all of those things, and prior to that too, is like, I've always been a systems guy and really didn't realize what I was doing, but once you get the opportunity to name what you're doing, it really helps a lot. Because like whenever you're fighting those negative arms and those negative attacks inside of your own head, let alone the external world who wants to comment where they have no reason to comment, or critique where they have no reason to critique, you can get so much done. And it's just amazing. And I like teaching that philosophy. Doesn't mean you have to do it. Doesn't mean I'm right. I just know what worked for me and worked very, very well. And I assure you it can work well for you too. And now is where it's like evolved in the lingo of like creating evergreen content, right? It's no longer production services, and it's no, all of those things. It's not that, because it had to evolve just in name alone. Evergreen content creation. Words matter, but again, it's like the power of these little devices to help you do things. As a phone. See there, phone. Hey, there's Huschool. But anyway, and I just really stand on that. And when I've done workshops and things like that, especially for like the Boy Scouts and everything, it made it possible to be able to go in the morning when these young men were working on their movie making merit badge, to be able to give them a good foundational start of how and why this is the way it is as far as producing stuff. But then be able to go straight into assigning roles and getting everyone to doing to where, say the thing would start at like 9 o'clock in the morning, well then by 3 o'clock in the afternoon we would actually have something that the kids came up with, and we would have it produced and in the can by the end of the day. Now, again, nowadays that can be done even faster and faster and faster. But when you got a room full of about 20 to 30 young boys, it can get a little hectic. I'll say that. And then keeping them wrangled and everything. Good kids, but still kids, and still young boys, and the boys will be boys. So it made for some interesting ways to go about producing stuff and keeping them wrangled at the same time, but it was good. But again, it's all about systems, and that's why I will stand on that. And I didn't call it that until Scott Adams. It's like, Once again, it's another one of those things. Scott Adams, if you are not familiar with Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, and a fellow who just yesterday on his morning podcast that he does every single day, except when his health problems are really, they're just making it impossible. And he's unstable. He's pretty much at the, as his perspective is, and his doctors have told him, he's pretty much done. He's got like one of those super aggressive prostate cancers. It's sort of like what former President Joe Biden has as well. But it's really escalating on Scott, and he's done a lot of things to do the treatments and everything. But his doctors, and he's starting to accept that it looks like January may be his last time, or last amount of time on the planet. Don't know. But he's leaving behind a hell of a legacy beyond just Dilbert, which is not just Dilbert. Dilbert is a funny comic strip, has been for a very long time. At one point, Dilbert was, I think, the biggest syndicated strip in the world in newspapers. I mean, he rocked it, and it all came about by systems. And he puts that in, let's see, which particular book is it? Because he mentions it in all of his books. But this one, I recommend this book highly. How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. Good morning, Gar. Glad to see you popping in. But but I highly recommend this book because Scott Adams really maps out how productive you can be when you go with systems instead of just looking at the goal. Because you put your steps in and you're winning all the way. And along with every step that you're taking to get to that end goal, you're also developing more skills and talents that become a talent stack. And when you sit back and self-assess what all you can do, you might be surprised what all you can do. It's a fascinating thing. Anyway, back to like stacking out the content for it's now the toysrtotems.com website. Jim'sToyBox.com. I lost the domain for a while because I'd gotten burnt out. I wasn't worried about renewing it. And somebody somewhere snatched it up. Because at that point it still had some worth to it. They weren't doing anything with it, but I think they snatched it up when it became available, thinking that maybe perhaps the owner, me, would come back and say, "Ah, crap, I need to get it back," and try to resell it to me or something. And that just didn't happen because I didn't need it. But then it opened back up. They got over it and they decided not to hold on anymore. Then I bought it back. So I had it back and it was alive again. But the thrill was gone. It wasn't what it once was. I tried to force it, but it wasn't there. So I let it expire again. So Jim'sToyBox.com. Let's see what's out there. You want to go with me and see? Go with me and see. Let's see what's sitting at Jim'sToyBox.com. Let's see what's there. Okay. Yeah, so there's nothing there. I may be able to get the domain back. Well, hell, let's go look. We'll just go to Namecheap. Let's see. Yeah, you need a domain. There you go. Let's see what happens. Jim'sToyBox.com. Is it available? Da 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 da. Oh, I'll be damned, it is. Huh. So I could buy it back at $11.28 a year for that, but I don't need it, honestly. It would be a nostalgia pickup more than anything else, so nah. I'm going to let it lie. No need to hoard up on domains, which I'm kind of found myself getting addicted to there for a while. But anyway, yeah, so I don't know, but it's out there. Temptation. But I think I'm just going to let that ride. But now you just saw how you can go look up a domain and get yourself a domain. Doesn't cover hosting, though. That's separate. In case you're not aware, you can go to like Namecheap.com and look for a domain, see if it's available, and you can buy the domain. And Namecheap does have hosting services, which are fine, but I don't use them. I personally use WordPress, have been since the beginning, and although that could look like I'm just being complacent, but honestly not so much. It's just never let me down. At one point, I had went over to like Wix.com when they first came out and they had HTML5 editing capabilities. What does that mean? What that means is it gave more flexibility in your design so you could actually have websites do cooler things with a lot less effort, and it was awesome. But with that said, it petered out. I think it's still there, but it just wasn't as reliable and stable as WordPress. And that's why all of the things I do now, I do exclusively on WordPress. I recommend something, or somebody needs a website, I recommend them go to WordPress, because it's truly been, it's the big papa that's stayed on top of the hill forever. Even though you'll have others that'll come along and look like they're trying to be fancy or better or whatever. Maybe they are. I don't know. I played with one of the AI tools that built out a, you just described, here, I want this, and it just shoots out a website in seconds. But the problem came when needing to edit it or do something with it that had real worth. No, you had a pretty front page, but that was it. It didn't do anything. So it's like, I'm sure that's worked out by now, because it's been a minute since I've done anything like that. But again, don't get caught up in the tools themselves. That's another lesson I learned way early on. When you get so caught up in the tools and wanting to become an expert with them, you will find yourself going down a rabbit hole, hard and deep and wide, and not making any real progress. Yeah, again, another story that I've told a lot, but very true, is like when I first decided that, okay, I want to transition from just doing audio stuffs and moving into the world of video stuff. But at the time, I still wanted to do film. And I had talked to a few folks, and I, it was interesting, because I confused myself, because certain things, when it seems too easy, it can't possibly be that easy. And I talked to a fella who was with the Little Rock Film Commission at the time. This was a long time ago. And I said, well, I want to make a movie. He said, great. I said, well, where do I start? He went, get a camera, shoot something. And I was like, you a-hole? That's not what I meant. But it is that simple. Get a camera, go shoot something. Ta-da! You're making a movie. The rest of the particulars come along. Editing, lighting, and all that. You learn that once you pick up the camera and start shooting. That's how you start figuring out how to do this stuff. And it's so simple it hurts. And nowadays, again, I don't know. I know I will lose sight sometimes of, I do, but I don't. When it comes to what all these boxes can do, I know it's been 10 years at least that I was able to start editing, full editing, video editing, multiple layers and tracks and everything on the phone. And I was dumbfounded that that was possible. I've been subscribing to PowerDirector ever since, because it allows me to have a full production studio, which would be a whole room, in my phone. And it allowed me to move faster and work quicker, and didn't have to go through all the crap that you used to have to go through. Because like back in the day when you were still shooting on tape, you would then have to capture the tape. And then after you captured the tape, then you would have to go back through and do your editings and all this other stuff. And then and that capturing the tape with the DV, with the digital video stuff, it was fast-ish, you know what I'm saying? Because it could transfer that way, but it was still, it'd still be like half of real time. Where now it's all instant right there that you can do. And it's been that way for 10 years, let alone if you just plop it, well, you don't even have to plop it anymore. It's already on your device. You're not transferring anything. So you get and they've all integrated AI for all their different things that they do. You got an audio editor, there's AI in it. You got a text program, AI is already in it. Video, etc., etc., and so on. And I tried once to kind of play with, you can do like a text edit thing, to where as you're watching your footage and everything on your timeline, and you could tell the robot what to do, and it'll go in and do that's clunky. And for me, I don't like it. Plus, I love the art of editing, just even the simplest of things, just to where a transition is smooth or unseen, and the story falls into place. But here's another little thing for you. When I am producing something bigger that has like multiple people or things or whatever, I like to tell the story first. I don't care about what the video looks like as far as like on camera stuff. Doesn't matter to me. I like getting that audio locked first. Once I've got the audio story locked, then I'll go back in and see what's happened with the video. To where it's like, if I'm doing like a 1 or 2 camera shoot, interview stuff with people, if it works, because sometimes you get like, you find yourself in a situation where like they're telling a story, and then they hiccup, cough, whatever, repeat themselves, and you need to go cut that out, and it looks like such a hard jump cut between where the story's going, where things got screwed up, and where you move forward, and there's just a hard, terrible looking jump, and then you can like transition really fast if it happens to be in the same frame. But if you swap cameras and you got a different angle, and like, well, you can't save that look, and so you do some B-roll over the top or whatever. But anyway, I love that part, the construction of the visual to go along with the story that's already locked. I like that a lot. But it's also funny because in doing the virtual stump videos, this is that open to everybody tier, right? Just 3 questions, and I don't want to have to edit you because frankly, I mean, I'm very committed to this civic outreach aspect of it because somebody needs to do it, and to do it in a manner that is more well available, because there's no cost for anybody to participate, and there won't be, because I don't want that, and we'll talk more about that later. But again, that part will never ever change. It's like if you're a candidate running for office, I want to get the who you are, what you're running for, and why someone should vote for you questions locked in the can. And I would just appreciate it if you can just run through all 3 at once. I'll give you time to think about it. We could do multiple takes so you can get it in one if need be. But on the whole, though, you should be able to answer those pretty quick and on the fly. Because if you're running for office and you can't answer those 3 simple questions, who you are, what you're running for, and why someone should vote for you, well, you may think about that position again. Anyway, I got stuff I got to get to today. So like this, I think next week we'll probably get back to more of that really grabbing for the gold that is the hour. But I am doing so much stuff backstage, stacking out stuff to where I free up more of my time because Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. There's going to be some new stuff that's going to be rolling out from the virtual stump project pillar and the evergreen content pillar that I'm going to be putting out moving forward. Because, well, I just got to get. I made 3 pillars for a reason, so I can stay focused and organized and structured without going off the rails, but all the while working harder but not longer, and most certainly smarter, so the stuff can go out that I want it to go out, and all the way still have time for a life with Alicia and Caitlin and everyone else. So that's it, and watch the process, because I promise you, I'm happy with this system, and I can encourage folks to follow along and take some notes. Again, not a guru, just a guy who knows that the power and value of time should never be forgotten, because it is the only commodity you have. And if any tool can help you keep some of that time, save some of that time, not waste that time, use it. Because we've all got to pay rent to be on the planet. That's just a done deal for now. And just maximize it to its best efforts. That's why I don't believe I could ever go back into a 9-to-5 world again, because there's so much remarkably wasted time inside of that structure. It's just crazy. Anyway, guys and gals, boys and girls, everybody have a fantastic day. We'll do it again tomorrow morning on Saturday, and do neat, fun stuff. Coffee first, of course, because it's the most important thing ever. See you guys later.